Welcome back, guys. Tonight I want to talk about the Canon 70D. This is one of Canon's best APS-C cameras. Now, I had the 20, the 30, the 50, the 60, the 70, and the 80 for a while. So I had most of them. I didn't have them all. And then I jumped to the 6D. But the Canon 70D, what you can get with this camera for the money that it costs you, well, let's get into that. So like I said, what can you get for one of these Canon 7Ds with 20 megapixels and a flip out screen that shoots high definition? What can you get one for? You use some KEH. $310. Show me another camera you can get for $310 that is going to be made as well as the 70D. You've heard me say before, all the D cameras, the 10 through the 90s, are made like tanks. I've got in the stores and you guys have been passed down from this. They've been through this and that, and they're still surviving, they're still going. I've never had any of the D cameras break on me at any point in time, knock on wood. Hopefully they never will. Everything will break at some point, but it's very rare that one of the D cameras is going to break on you. Like I said, everything will break at some point, no matter what it is. They have a great reputation. With the 70D, you get 20 megapixels. And there must be something about me and 20 megapixels, because I have a lot of cameras, but the main four cameras that I use are my Canon R6, that's my main camera, 20 megapixels. My backup for that is my Canon 6D, 20 megapixels, full frame. And then I have two others that are number 3 and 4. One is the 70D, 20 megapixels. And then I have the Lumix G9 Micro Four Thirds, which is also a 20 megapixel camera. It's in a kind of a different category of a camera, but the four main cameras I use are all 20 megapixels. They go from Micro Four Thirds, 20 megapixels, APS-C 20 megapixels, to full frame 20 megapixels, but they all do a wonderful job. Now, Canon put this out in 2013. And when they did, they put the HD, it does video, it does HD, it only does 30 frames a second, but we're talking about a camera that's almost 11 years old. 30 frames a second HD wasn't bad from a camera like this long ago, and it's still plenty usable. You guys know now that 30 frames a second is plenty fine for stuff like YouTube and most all videos. I mean, you know, unless you're doing some really high-end stuff, HD 30 frames a second will be plenty fine. I mean, I shoot a lot of 4K videos, and then sometimes I don't even know why I do it, because I'm going through memory cards so freaking fast, because you start shooting 4K 60 frames a second, your memory cards, you can just watch the memory drop and drop and drop. So, but to be able to get the 4K 30 and to be able to get all this for $310 is quite spectacular. Let me get into some of the other details about this 70D. It is a Canon crop sensor, which is a 1.6. So any lens you put on, if you put a 50 on there, it's going to technically be an 80. All Canon crop sensors are 1.6. Most others are 1.5, but it is what it is. It's all close. It's splitting hairs there. This is the Canon Digic 5 processor. So it's an older processor, but it still does a great job. It kind of takes you back to the film days a little bit, I would say. Not completely, not as much as some of the older, like maybe the 5D, but it's somewhere in between the 5D and some of the newer digital cameras. Some of the newer digital cameras are so fantastic and so crazy sharp that sometimes they just don't look real. This looks real. So if you guys know what I'm talking about, I don't quite know how to explain that, but you can almost, they look over-sharpened sometimes, over-sharpened, over-saturated, a little bit overdone, where this is going to get you a little bit more normal look on everything. So, and some of you guys, and you can change a lot of that in post-process, and it's just something that I thought I would bring up. Some of you guys might find it important, some of it, you know, if you do a lot of editing afterwards, it won't matter to you, you'll be fine. It has 4 metering modes: evaluative, partial, spot, and center. So whenever you're taking a reading, say if you're doing some pictures of the sunset and you're going to add an external flash, you can take a reading, you know, with whichever setting you want. I like to get as much as I can in that kind of shot so that I can get the sky and everything, get the exact reading, and then I can use the fill flash to fill in fill light for the model that I'm shooting. That way I don't lose my background at sunset, and I keep the model looking really good in there. So the metering modes are kind of important in that situation. Now this will go up to, I believe, 12,800 ISO. It goes down to 100, but I don't think I would go over 6,400, and I would probably try to keep it at 3,200, because like I say, it is a crop sensor. But even again, 3,200 is going to be, that's pretty good, guys. 3,200. I know my Canon R6, I can shoot over 12,000. I get much grain at all. But I use a flash so often, the chances that I'm shooting at over 12,000 or even 3,200 ISO is pretty rare. So You know, about the only time I can think of would be a candlelight wedding at night. Say a big Catholic church where, you know, you can't use a flash or you don't want to use a flash because you want that nice look. Of course, the R6 is going to be better under low light than this, but the R6 also costs way more than this camera. So kind of balance, you know, what you're getting for your money and what you're getting overall. The shutter speed will go up to 1/8,000th of a second on it. So you do get a high shutter speed. I think that's the same shutter speed that I get on my R6. And one thing that I like, if I can turn it on, maybe I can show you guys, is it has a little LCD on top. I miss those LCDs. And I use my Canon R6 so much, my Canon 6D is my #2 backup, that, you know, when I grab this, I just miss having the LCD on top. For some reason, I just like it. You can take a quick glance down and look at it instead of having, you know, go through your screen, go through some menus. There's things that you can hit right there. And if you're in the dark, you just hit the light button and it'll tell you all the main things that you need to know. And it's just something I got used to for a long time. And if you're not used to it, you're not going to miss it. So if you never had it, you're not going to miss it. But it's something that I like and something I think is good to have. The viewfinder on it covers 98% of the area that you see, which is plenty fine. I think most cameras vary between 95 to 100%, but 98% is completely fine. So I wouldn't worry about that at all. And it does use EF lenses and also the EFS lenses. But I recommend, if you plan on buying one of these and you want to keep upgrading your cameras, only buy EF. I wouldn't buy the EFS because then you get into problems later when you get into full frame. Just stick with EF glass. Stay away from the EFS unless you just find a complete bargain that you don't mind when you move on up to a larger camera, the near mirrorless. You don't mind selling it or getting rid of it. But any cameras that you want, any lenses that you want to keep, go with the EF lenses on them. Right now, all the EF lenses are on such a good deal because Canon's moving toward the RF glass that you can just get fantastic deals on EF glass right now. And KEH is an affiliate of ours. That's why I bring up KEH a lot. I'll leave a link for them down at the bottom on this particular camera. In fact, hey guys, we're in KEH's showroom right now. As you can see, they have a lot of cameras in the showroom. KEH is a new affiliate of ours, and one thing I love about KEH is I have used them since 1983. That's a lot of years I've been using KEH. Never had an issue. I can't recommend any company higher than I can recommend KEH. In all those years, we've never had any issues. So if you need a camera or need to sell your gear, check out KEH.com and they'll do a good job for you. Y'all have a good day. That's where I saw the one for $310 on this camera. But there's a lot of good companies out there. It's Facebook Marketplace. Thing with Facebook Marketplace is you have to be very careful who you're dealing with, especially when you get into things like cameras and stuff, because you never know who you're going to run into. And let's admit it, it's kind of a crazy world out there. And you need to be careful, especially if you're a lady or a guy. I mean, anybody, somebody pulls a gun on you, don't matter what. You can be a black belt in karate. If they're 10 foot away from you with a gun on you, you're going to be in some trouble. So, you know, I like to avoid situations like that. I like to go a little safer route. So, you know, that's the case. You know, KEH really has a huge advantage over that kind of stuff, over marketplace kind of stuff, because this is the safety aspect of it. You know, I did a video the other day in their showroom. You can see how nice it is, but they also, they serve the whole country, and I'm not sure if they go out of the country or not. I'm not sure on how the imports and exports, all that works, but I do know that for the U.S., they have some, you know, they'll do everything by mail for you, so you don't have to really worry about anything. On the back, it is a flippy screen, so you don't have to worry about that. And it's also a 3-inch flippy screen. So it's about, or it is, I believe it is the same size as my Canon R6 screen. So, you know, you can't go wrong with that. It's also a touch screen too. So when you're using video, you can just touch it and you'll, you know, touch your subject and touch their face and they'll be in focus. It'll give you 7 frames per second. It does not have an electronic shutter, obviously, being an older camera, but 7 frames per second in my line of work is still plenty. Weddings models, very seldom do I ever go over 7 frames a second. Very seldom do I ever do 7 frames a second. I did some pictures a while back where my wife had a handful of sand and she was dropping sand. I think I shot that at either 12 or 20 frames a second. You know, but that was just for fun. When I'm doing in work, weddings models, you very rarely ever need 7 frames a second, but it's there if you need it, whatever kind of photography you're doing. And also if you're doing landscape photography, you've got the advantage of taking a 400 millimeter lens, put it on here to get that 1.6 crop. Suddenly your 400 millimeter lens becomes a, well, that'd be 640 millimeter lens. So that's a nice jump. So can't complain about that. And I have got a Sigma 400 millimeter lens on the way. We're going to be checking that out soon. So hopefully next week after, we'll have some videos with the Sigma 400 lens that we're going to be trying out. So I may even try it on the 70D, or because it is an EF lens. So we'll have to check that out. Check back for that video. It also uses the SD cards So it's not as old as going back to the compact flash cards. And one thing I really like about it, if you're looking for like a backup or a second backup or whatever you may be looking for, and you're already shooting with the Canon R6 or cameras like that, the 90D, whatever, they all use this battery. Now, the battery that came in the 7D had a little bit less power, but the new batteries that fit the Canon R6 will also fit in this camera and vice versa. So you can pull one out of here and put it in your Canon R6. You pull one out of your Canon R6, put it in here, so you're good to go on batteries. I like that because I don't like having a different battery for every dang camera I've got. I like for everything to be as uniform as possible. Now, I do understand if I'm shooting with Canon and Lumix, they're obviously not going to use the same battery. But if I'm on Canon all day long, it's nice to be able to just use the same batteries and not have to go searching for a certain battery to put in a certain camera. That makes it really nice to do that. So this camera is also weather sealed, they say. Now, I haven't personally taken it out into any huge thunderstorms or any hurricanes, but I try to avoid those, and I find that your pictures aren't very good when it's pouring down rain like that. But for what it's worth, they say it's weather sealed. I haven't tried it, so I can't say go do it, you'll be fine, but that's what I read. Take that for whatever it's worth. Maybe Google that a little bit more before you head that out, because sometimes when they say weather sealed, they mean it's sprinkle proof, or sometimes when they say weather sealed, it means it'll stand up in a good rainstorm. So they're kind of vague on that information. So I always prefer, number one, to avoid the rain if possible. But if I'm shooting an event and it's on a football field at night or something, and you're doing homecoming and it starts raining, they have, you know, Amazon, BH, everybody has the little plastic bags you can put over your camera and put your arms through and shoot, and just the lens so that'll keep your camera safe. And that's all, you know, they're like $10. So no matter if my camera's weather sealed or not, I'm still going to put one of those over my cameras, because you know, that's $10 versus could be thousands and thousands of dollars for the lens and the camera that you're using at the time. So it's just, you know, just the way I like to do things. You might be just fine going out with it without any protection over it, but I like to keep mine covered as much as possible. Now, the dynamic range on this camera is not going to be the equivalent of what one of the new R series cameras is going to be. Well, depending on which R series you're using. I would put this up against the RP and say it's at least as good. And I know I'll probably get some feedback on that, because I know the Canon RP is full frame. I had that Canon RP for a little while. I was not impressed with that camera at all. I haven't put them side by side to see which one has the best dynamic range, but the dynamic range in here is not bad. I think camera settings or DxO, somebody gave it like 11.6, which is not bad for an older crop sensor. So you're pretty good in that department. So if you're just looking if you're an amateur and you want a camera that's fun to play with, you don't have a camera, this is a great camera to start with. If you're a professional and you've already got, say, a couple of cameras and you're in the Canon line already, and you're looking, maybe you've already got a main camera, like I've got my R6, and then I've got my 6D as a backup, this makes a good number 3 backup, or number 2 backup, and third in line, because they all share the same batteries, basically the same lenses, so on and so forth. So, and I just wish, if you guys have never held one of these cameras, this one don't have a battery grip on it, but battery grip you can get for about $50. They just fit like it was made to fit in your hand. It's just a fantastic feel how they feel. And you know, the sensor, like I said, it's a crop sensor. You can see in there, it's not huge, but it gets the job done. We've shot hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of weddings using crop sensors before full frame come out, and it can be done and it looks great. So we've got displays that we take to bridal shows that were shot on crop sensors. In fact, one of them was shot on a 30D, which I believe was maybe an 8 or a 10 megapixel camera, and we've got 16 by 20s. And I've thought about pulling it out of the pictures for the bridal shows, but we have yet to go to a bridal show where people haven't come and said, I just love that picture. And so it's hard to pull out a picture that people just come up and continuously tell you they love, no matter what camera it was shot on. So I'm going to keep that 16 by 20. It's a bridal portrait. I'm going to keep it in there. And even though it was shot with a 30D, a very old camera, people still like it, and that's what counts. So like I said, guys, check out this Canon 70D. If you're looking for a backup camera as a professional, you can't go wrong, especially if you're already in the Canon ecosystem. If you're looking for a camera to learn on and get started, $310 for a camera that'll do all this is not bad. It's not counting just the photography, but the HD at 30 frames a second is also a bonus to have. So anyway, I'm going to put some pictures with this in the next day or two, so when the video comes out, you'll have the information about the camera, and you'll have some images to take a look through and see what you think. And if you guys have the 70D or have any questions about the Canon 70D, just let me know. Leave a comment down at the bottom or shoot me an email, and I will get back with you guys. And I will leave a link to KEH. Well, they have a couple of them right around the $310 range. One was $310. So you can take a look from them. KVH is an affiliate of ours. So if you do buy from KVH, we will get a small commission, a few bucks, not a whole lot, but it helps keep our channel going. But I'm not saying it just to sell you guys something. I only recommend things to you guys that I would buy myself. And of course, this is my camera. Obviously, I like it. I don't keep things I don't like. And I wouldn't share something with you guys. I recommend that you go get it if it's not any good, because, you know, that's my reputation I'm putting on the line. So with that said, I want you guys to, you know, again, I want you to join our community. I want you to become a part of our community, because I think we have the best community. Because no matter whether you're a beginner, an amateur, or you've been doing it for 40 or 50 years, we all have a place. We can all help each other out. I love everybody that's in our community right now. We have just some of the best people in the world. If you make a comment, nobody's going to jump down your throat if you said something that everybody thinks, oh, well, you should already know that. Don't worry about that kind of stuff. It's not going to happen on our site. Not at least while I'm watching, it won't. I appreciate you guys, all of you. And if you have any questions about this camera, like I said, just let me know. I'll get back to you. And if we're helping you guys out, give us a big thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button. Thanks. Have a good day. Hey guys, I just want to take this second of your time. If you guys would please hit like and subscribe, it would go a long ways toward helping our channel and help us keep making these videos. Thank you.